Hello class. Today I'm going to be talking to you about workplace application number one. Workplace application number one, as you've seen hopefully from the practice exercise that I posted on Blackboard under Module 1 tab, and then within the workplace application folder, and then within the workplace application number one folder, is kind of a combination of all of that you've done thus far in the RPW textbook. So you need to check that out if you haven't, and this should be a good summary of what you have done. So let's get started. So as you can see here is a workplace application one practice. This was a paragraph that was in the back of the RPW book that we're just going to use for practice exercises and just to get you familiar with what I'm looking for. So the first thing I'm going to be looking for is, and wanting you to do, is kind of go through here and I give you some prompts, right? So the audience and purpose, who is the writer, what is his or her role, audience, those things, because you have to understand the content. And audience analysis is going to be very important for you all um, to understand when you're writing anything in the business world. So first thing is first. So we figured that out. Who it is? It's going to be Todd. You know, this is pretty easy and easy example. The audience, obviously the residents, the bottom line. All right. So the bottom line is going to be the thesis statement of the workplace application. So that's going to be really hard. And here, the workplace application one practice, if you have read it, you would have discovered that the bottom line doesn't even come until, oh, where is it? All articles, yes, right here, all the way in the middle. So the bottom line of this message, or the reason that Todd is writing the residents, isn't found until this line right here. And that's a big problem, right? Because time is valuable. We live in a monochronic society, and especially in business, the more time you can save me, the more money you're going to be worth to me, because time is money. So we need to get that up front, and that's the bottom line. Hopefully you got that out of the RPW. So for our purposes, we're going to say that all articles must be removed from the garage stalls. Now, that's not enough information because I need to know that it's by Monday, August 28th, if you've read this. So that's kind of in this first sentence, and that's good, but I also needed to know what needed to be removed. So everything. And what is the consequence? So that could be a part of the bottom line too. That way, if I just read that one sentence, all articles must be removed from the garage stalls by August 28th, or they'll be thrown away, disposed of, then now I know what's going on. So that's really important. And that would be your bottom line. All right, let's move down to content. Suitable subject. Okay, so subject line is going to be very important for your workplace applications. Subject lines are going to be they're going to be a shortened, a fragment version of your bottom line. So garage cleaning, that's not going to get it. What I want you all to think of when you're writing this, and what I'm going to be looking for when I'm grading, and when you're writing emails in the future, like after you leave this class, because that's what's most important. Like, not that you get a good grade in this class, that is important obviously, but more importantly is that you go out and you're successful in your jobs in the real world. And one thing that people do far too often in emails is they don't have a good subject line. So garage cleaning, what does that mean? I have to open that email to figure it out. So what I want to see from you all is that you can summarize an entire message all in one bottom line, but also give me the fragment form of that for the subject line. And that is going to be very important. So for this one, we're going to say action required because they have to do something. Empty garage stalls by August 28th. So now I know what I have to do, that I have some action required, and it has to be happening by August 28th. And you could even put in there, or items will be disposed of if you wanted to. That would be fine. But if you had, that I have to do something, the action's required, and that I needed to empty those garage stalls by August 28th, that's perfect. That's a fragment. It summarizes that bottom line, and it also summarizes the email. And most importantly, if I just glanced at that and it was in my mailbox, I would know that, hey, I don't have to open this email to see what's going on, right? And that's going to save me time and effort. So the next thing I kind of prompt you to do, and here I actually give it to you basically. I say, this is not a good representation of this data, right? We need to turn this into an infographic. Um, so as you see, Monday, whatever, all this stuff, I can't even make any sense of this. So we're going to need to put this into a good infographic. And the best infographic to use here is going to be a table, right? And hopefully you'll remember that from the RPW's homework as well. And then finally, we're going to come down here and I actually give you parallel form. Anytime you see parallel form, think bullets, because that's obviously from RPW as well. Now, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't remember that, well, you need to go back and review your RPW book and do some extra questions. And if you have questions about that, you can obviously always do extra questions and email them to me and see if you're on the right track. Because some of this stuff is confusing at first when you're writing this, but make sure you know what parallelism, and hopefully you got that from the RPW. So this will be a bullet, and bullets are fragments. Remember that from your homework, and yeah, and then we'll have you'll rewrite it, and this is the rubric. As you see here, the rubric is pretty important. We're going to include everything when I'll have the rubric on each workplace application. Just double check that you did everything. If I say parallel form, obviously think bullet. If I say, comparative representation of data, a lot of times it's going to be a table, but sometimes it won't be. Maybe you'll have to create a graph. You never know, so just pay attention to that grammar, suitable wrap-up statement, which I'm going to show you in a second. Okay, so let's take a look at this same example, but once it's been completed, now that we kind of know what to look for, what all the kind of things are. So as I see here, you can see my red is the answer. We come in, we got Todd, we got all the residents. Here is the bottom line. Summarize this. All articles must be removed in garage stalls by August 28th. Right, so there it is. Action required. Blah, blah, blah. Empty those garage stalls. That's my suitable subject. It's perfect. Now here's a nice table that we're going to use to fill this in. This is way easier to read. One thing we're looking for again is readability. So think about what is the quickest way I can get this information to my audience and I can save them time. So if I was trying to figure out all this stuff, this would be very difficult, right? But this will take me 2 seconds to figure out. So that's why it's going to be worth a lot to me. Then we're going to come down here. The difference between this and this is not even close, right? This is a whole paragraph. This would have taken me, now also that we know that also that we have scheduled additional maintenance and repairs for the fall. We want to get rid of the grime off extra, blah, 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 blah. So I just make these parallel. I have action adjectives that, describing what's going to happen on clean, replace, repair, recarpet, and they're all parallel. They flow. They're in the same tense, and it's short. Okay, application. So here we are. This is what it would look like, right? So to, from, date, subject, space, you're going to tab over. This is the subject line, which is the fragment of the bottom line. All garages in your building are being cleaned. Now you can have like your little entries, dear residents, you could say, which wouldn't be wrong. And then you can come and say, oh, well, I hope you're all doing well. All the garages in your building are going to be cleaned. But somewhere within those first 2 sentences, you have to have the bottom line. Bottom line placement has to come up front. So it has to say, please remove all articles in your garage stall by Monday 28th, blah, 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 or they'll be disposed of. Perfect. If you don't do that, you're going to lose points. Do not put the bottom line and down here and underneath this. That's wrong. So the cleaning is scheduled as follows. That's going to be your introduction to data. You have to have a sentence before data to introduce it. Because if I just said this is going to happen and then I had this table, I'm going to say, what is this? So I had to make it short, make it condensed. Remember, that's from RPW as well, short and condensed writing. All right, the cleaning is scheduled as following. Boom, hit it. Then here is your little baby paragraph that kind of connects these 2 things together. While the cleaning is in process, you must use outside parking lot. Okay, good. So any information that doesn't really fit in these 2 data points. All right, then we come down here, then we say, okay, Additional maintenance and repairs have been scheduled for the fall. We will. That's basically, this is all one sentence for my intro to data again. And then I have, this is, bullets are considered data along with tables and graphs. Um, so they're important to use because they can summarize a lot of information. They're an infographic basically. And then thank you for cooperation. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me. And this is going to be the same every time. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me at. And you notice how I don't say phone number or email. Everybody knows that if you see, what is that? 10 digits and an at sign, that's an email address. And in regards, Todd, that's fine. So subject line is included. It's good. It summarizes the whole point. It's the thesis basically in a fragment. Appropriate bottom line. Bottom line is the thesis statement in a full sentence. It comes in the first or second sentence of the paragraph. Parallel form. Oh, bullets. Okay, good. Visual representation of the comparative data. My table. A call to action. Right. So what am I supposed to be doing? Introduction to data and suitable wrap-up statement. So what are you supposed to do? Introduction to data. I have two of those. Organization, form, and grammar. That's just going to include if you have typos, if you should have put, if this information was really important, you should have put this up front. And sometimes people put less important information second infographic, and vice versa, and that's going to be a little subjective, but you have to make the paradigm shift from being a student to being somebody that's in the business world and thinking about what is the most important piece of information that the audience is going to need to know, right? So I need to know, when my stall is being cleaned. Secondarily, I need to know that what's being cleaned. So a couple things to think about when you're writing this is you need to have, as you can see here, I pull up Word, you need to have Times New Roman, and it needs to be 12, and it needs to be true single spacing. So let's say, I have my 2, there we go, then two, who is it to? All residents, right? And then it's from, I tab over Todd, whatever his name was, the date. You can write the date out as, 1/29, whatever it is, 16, or you can write it all the way. RE can be subject, tab over, action required, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and you're going to skip a space. Then you're going to have your bottom line. All right, okay. Then you're going to have your intro to data. Oops. Intro, data. Then you're going to have the data, right? Now, usually you'll have some justification information here, a justification or excess info, something like that. Because remember, we talked about, if you're unable to move your vehicle, please provide us with your car keys. And therefore, excess info, this is going to be like a little paragraph. Then we'll skip a space. Then we'll have another intro to data if we have 2 data points, which we do in this one. Then we'll have a data point, right? Sorry, we don't have to skip a space there. And then we're going to have a wrap-up statement or a call to action, which is always the same. Remember, please feel free to contact me if you have any questions or concerns at blah, blah, blah. And then sign off. Regards. Something like that. So that is basically how it's done. Now, if you want to know true single spacing, is you just highlight it, you right click, you go to paragraph. Now Macs are nice because they do it automatically. Single and 0, you have to 0 point these. On a PC, these will not be 0. They'll be like, I don't know, 6 or 12 or something. Just make sure they're zeroed out and make sure this is single, and you're going to be fine. A couple other things to think about when you're writing these is this one, I didn't really, you don't have to let me know anything in the future. Sometimes you'll have, these are going to get more and more complex as we go along. This one's easy, I think, but the first one's the easiest. You're going to make some mistakes because this is new. This is a different type of writing. Cut the fluff out. There's no need for fluff.